All right, welcome everybody to this weekend, August the 13th, here at Lanes Raceway. Fixing to get underway for our Little Rumble Series race. Going to call in the racers, make sure they're ready, and then we're going green racing. All right, racers, are you ready? Watch your lights. Here we go. Today we got Carson, Jackson, Weston, and Dalton. As you can tell in the stream, we've kicked her down to 1080p. Hopefully, that makes it where that we can stream to YouTube. But if it doesn't, then that wasn't the issue. But I can see that everything's kind of pixelated out a little bit more. We see Dead Man's Corner and stuff over there. But hopefully it makes for a little bit better of a stream for sure. Right out of the gate, we got Jackson there in the lead, 12 laps there on white, followed by Dalton there with 13 laps, and Carson with 13, Weston with 11. Carson brought his car in here a little bit earlier today and got a little bit of work done on it, got him a new set of tires. He had them tires all the way down to the bare bones of the rim. But right now, it looks like it's doing pretty good here. Dalton and, of course, Carson are running really close together. Carson being up on the high lane like that, going to lose a little bit of time. As we can see, Dalton just made that pass. As he's coming now, Dalton coming to make the pass there on his bigger brother there on white lane, Jackson. He makes the pass nice and clean. Next one he's coming after will be Weston there on green, but all four of these boys running really, really close together. Tight racing. Sharing the same gear ratio, 929, all of them, as they both get involved in an incident there. See the Dalton's car not taking off. Need to hit a track call button. If you can't get the cars on in a timely fashion, please hit the track call button. Just letting our track marshals know that, you know, issues ensue, need to hit that track call button. Dalton was running up there pretty good, ended up losing 3 laps over there. About somewhere median where you should lose laps anywhere from 1 to 2 laps. But when it starts approaching the 3rd lap, it really starts approaching the time for you to hit the track call button. After the first heat, though, we see Jackson out in the lead. My mouse finicky today. For some reason or another, not wanting to be a very good wireless mouse. I think that's the right one. Yep, there we go. We can see Jackson there in the lead, 45 laps, 43 to Carson, Weston 40 laps, and Dalton with 39. I'll leave you with the current standings as of August the 6th, and I'll be right back with you. All right, got 13 seconds left before we go back green racing. We can see all the racers getting themselves in their little organized spots here. Coming up next, LMP Thunder Series race here at Lanes Raceway on the orange track. Paul Woosley and Guillermo Sire and Glenn Burden already here getting ready for that race. Car coming off right out of the gate. That car being Carson. Carson's car is coming to a complete stop. Well, he had looks to be his controller hooked up incorrectly or something. So he's going to lose about a lap or so. But him and Weston there neck and neck, as we can tell. Weston coming up on his inside here as he makes the pass right now. There he goes, making a pass there on Carson. Carson, of course, holding his own there on green lane, being a little bit higher up on the hog. As he goes to make the pass, but he does a rough pass there as he sends Dalton to the outside wall. None of them lifting. Carson, of course, having a little bit better handling car here today. Jackson having a exceptionally handling car as he goes to try to make a pass on the outside on red to his brother Dalton. Dalton holding him off, though. They're neck and neck there, as you see. Dalton giving him a little bit of a blip, allowing him to go on by. Could be about time for Dalton to set of tires, possibly. All these boys running on a set of tires that's been used up pretty good. Jackson coming out of the track. They're on red, getting put back in. So we see the blue car Weston full trigger. It's making it hard for Dana to get his car put in. I talked to the track marshals just a few moments ago about getting the cars put back in the best that they can, but within 3 laps need to kill the track. But in that situation, if somebody won't let off the trigger, then you can just let the car sit there. These racers have all been told, let them get the car in, then you get on the trigger. But sometimes they get a little bit excited. If you have it hammered down, it's going to oppose itself and push out, making it very, very hard for our track marshals to get the car put in. So we get a red flag rotation yet again. We got Jackson out in the lead. 94 total laps. 92 laps. Carson coming up. Starting to give it a little bit of a run for its money with 92. Weston there with 91. And Dalton with 87 to round it up. I'm going to leave you here with the current scores or lap points standings as of August the 6th. And be right back with you. we're back 1 second. We're going to see those lights down into racing. And Shirt winding her up there with Weston. Some communication issues here with the software currently. Hopefully we don't get a lockup. There we go. Internet here at Lanes Raceway been somewhat spotty the past couple days, as if there's not a whole lot of internet bandwidth here in town. Nonetheless, we progress. Action Jackson there with 108. Carson there with 109. And Weston with 109. Dalton 103. Got a three-way battle going on here. It's probably about time to hit that track call button if we can get that done. There we go. For some reason or another, they're having issues getting Carson's car on the track today. What might end up doing here, so I might end up rebuilding yet again, since we got the new computer and everything. The files didn't transfer over too well. So what we might end up doing is just completely rebuilding this, because it seems like I have to do a complete rebuild every single time that I start up a stream. For some reason or another, it's not saving these files. So what we'll probably end up doing is rebuild the whole thing, because I think we're losing graphical quality in the text and stuff like that because of it. Every time that I go to reload it through the settings, it just keeps compressing it more and more. So after this week, of course, this past week, I was going to mess with it a little bit the past couple days, but I ended up going to Kentucky and took myself a small vacation. So sorry about that in a way, but in a way, I'm not really sorry, because I had a great time. Me, my brother, and my dad going up there watching a little bit of dirt racing. Probably the best dirt race I've probably ever been to. I've been to quite a few with my brother back in the day, and my dad, but I'll tell you what, man, what a race it was. Nice and cool, nice and hot during the day, but it was a good time for sure. So we check the times here. Action Jackson there, 144 total laps. Weston 143 and Carson 141. Dalton down there with 135, having some issues with his car. Current standings as of August the 6th has Jackson in the lead, followed by Carson and Weston. And Wyatt Hambrick. For some reason or another, I don't see Dalton on there. I could have swore Dalton ran at least one or two Little Rumble races, but transferring all this stuff over, I might have forgotten to put him in there. I'll have to go back and check that out and see. Or this could be his first Little Rumble, for all I know. I'll get it checked out for sure. Something's up. But yeah, this new computer and stuff has been quite a bit of headache here recently. John, we got to install a power button to it too, without having to move the glass case every time I want to turn the power on. Several of the racers here in the shop working on their cars. Got about 1 minute and 39 seconds. They have plenty of time to do what they need to do. Like I said, coming up next, L&P Thunder Series race on the orange track for our professional racers. Excited to get a little bit of insight. When we went to the dirt races this past weekend at the North-South 100, got quite a few inspirational things to bring back here. I believe Joey Wells was on Facebook, said hard tires, no glue. And, we kind of laughed about it at first because it was kind of funny because, dirt cars get sideways and slide. But I thought about maybe what if we did run like a high winding, like, car with hard tires and no glue. I mean, yeah, at first a lot of people's going to wreck because they'd have to get used to it because they're just not going to pull a lot of traction. But it would make it pretty interesting if we turn this oval kind of like similar to a dirt track, in that you have to let off the trigger to get grip, and your car's going to go a lot slower, but they're kind of going to get sideways too. I might experiment with a little bit of that and see if we can get these cars to do that. Anything's possible for sure. And, a little extra flavor, seeing these cars maybe get sideways with each other. That might be pretty cool to see. 15 seconds left to go. These racers better hurry up and get out there. But one thing I did notice while I was up there is like the camera work was exceptional for Flow Media. I was kind of paying attention to how they had all their stuff set up, and they had several radios and stuff connected to each other. So different guys working cameras, flying different places with the drones. And I was like, man, it would be pretty cool if we get like a little micro drone to follow these little slot cars around somehow and have like drone footage too. But, that'd definitely be something in the future. But I'd love to do something like that. Of course, I love slot car racing. So if we can just make it more and more intriguing to watch, that'd be the main goal behind the stream at the very least. And of course, in the shop itself, our main goal is to get more and more people to join into the series and enjoy the fun that these kids are having right now. Action Jackson out in the lead on Blue Lane with 161 total laps, followed by Weston with 161. Very, very close. We see Weston trying to make that approach right now, coming up on the inside of Carson there on purple. He's going to try to make a pass here in the next lap or so. Could end up disastrous here. And it does, as he shoots Carson on out the lane, makes him lose a lap. And then Carson tries to push the subject, running up against him again, and ends up getting sailed off another time. As we see Carson now trying to overdrive his car just a little bit, trying to gain some of those laps back. Now choosing the right thing to do, which is to just go ahead and let off and not get involved in an incident. Traded off about 6 laps there. If Carson, you're going to watch this when you get home, just remember, man, that little subsection right there that you did driving deep on the outside, don't do that. Just stay behind Weston. He's running fast enough down there on black that you just let him go on by, man. Save yourself losing a lap. Lost about 4 or so laps there. And this goes for any of the racers out there. Don't run up on people's outsides because it will get you shot to the outside wall. Nonetheless, let it be a teaching lesson to these guys, because I want them to step up to the intermediate and pro levels for sure. But I'll assure you, they step up to intermediate and pro levels and try to do something like that, the same will happen, but it'll be very, very more detrimental. Now, down here in the rookie series, you can wreck 3 or 4 times and still be 1 lap different from each other. As we can see here, Weston and Jackson, they're right at the same laps. Carson there, 191. Of course, he lost about 4 or 5 laps there. He'd be right there with Jackson and Weston. Dalton up there kind of running his own pace now. Kind of seems to be leveling it out a little bit there. Not too good of a orange lane there, but other than that, not too bad. We'll see how Dalton shapes up as we progress here. Full average between the people are just 2.5 laps difference on average. So, that's a wreck. That's 2 wrecks, as we've seen right there with Carson having a couple outside wrecks there with Weston. If that didn't happen, of course, the average will increase. So about 1 minute and 40 seconds. We'll be right back with you. I'm going to leave you with the current standings and see you here in just a minute. got something in my eye talking to Glenn about the race weekend, and how much parking, and not to mention just parking, but camping area they had at Florence. Sorry, I kind of went a little brain funny. I got here pretty early this morning. Got in. We ended up leaving, I think, about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and ended up getting here at about the same time, about 9 o'clock. What's that? So yeah, ended up getting here, I believe, around 9 or 10 o'clock. Of course, I had not slept good the past 2 nights. Too hot. I was burning up. Gabriel, of course, he was, saying I was a girl and all this. Whether that's the case or not, I don't care. I was burning up in there. I was hot. And then, of course, last night, the camper we were staying in, it all but just completely died. So, no battery, no air conditioner, no water. We ran all the water out. I mean, I was taking like a little splash shower. Of course, no hookups at this place. So, yeah, we were roughing it in a sense that we didn't have any utilities. But other than that, I mean, it was great. Whenever the power and stuff was working, we had full internet. I mean, it was a good time. We was watching the race and watching little dirt montage videos and stuff. Had a blast. I said, next time I go, I definitely got to take my wife. She would have had a blast. Kind of felt bad every once in a while about having such a good time without her. But next time we will definitely shut Lanes Raceway down to go check that out. And that'll be next August, I believe. Like I said, it was a really good time. The weather stayed away. It started raining there towards the 100, about 20 or 30 laps in. And they thought they was going to have to call the race, but it was just a baby cloud, so they kind of just ran around the track a little bit. And when that happened, it stopped and everything went back underway. So we was able to finish out the race, and it was a pretty eventful little race. Several incidents took place. I know during the preliminary heats there, before the main 100, this guy named Turbo got into it with a couple guys. Actually, somebody actually got into him, and then he just straight turned them in the backstretch and wadded up a few cars. I figured there'd be a big old fight or something like that go on into the stands, but I don't know. We had a couple buddies and stuff that were in the stands. Actually, one of my brother's friends, he was actually racing down there, and we kind of hung out with him. Of course, he ended up crashing out on Thursday night, and he was in the open wheel modifieds, Blaze Milton, and they never did fix it, so they didn't get back into the main event race. Now, of course, the modified race they had, which was like the feature race there yesterday, it was pretty crazy. About the first 3 or 4 times going green, they had pretty big incidents. Even they had to tow out a car as it completely got just mangled on the backstretch. But that happened quite a lot too. So, that was a pretty big race. Had a guy next to us that said he didn't come here to see these blank holes and all this. He was cussing and everything. And my dad, he was a little upset about it because he's like, how does that guy think that the super late model drivers get to where they're at? Well, I mean, that is the case. You got to start somewhere. You start at the open wheel modifieds and you move up to that kind of stuff. So I think the first starting 4 cars in the open wheel modified series portion of it, every one of them were running elite chassis. And then, of course, Falloway brought home the victory in that. Action Jackson out in the lead here at Lanes Raceway, 252 laps, followed by 247 of Weston and 244 Carson. Dalton, 234. Second place is still up for grabs from all these positions. Just a couple wrecks away is all it's going to take. Like I said, going to leave you here with the current standings. We'll be right back with you. All right, 4 seconds. These racers are biting at the bit. Look at them. Weston bouncing back and forth. So excited he can't stand it, folks. He's got a chance here to take first place, as all these racers have a chance to at least take second, only being the difference about 10 laps or so. But they're going to have to, now is the time, they're going to have to keep their cars on and not come off at all, and hope for people to wreck that are above them. As we see, I believe that was Carson that just came off right there. So that gives Dalton an advantage to come up ahead. There's Dalton coming off there on purple. He's going to have to keep that car in tow and not come off. So we got a nice pass there by Jackson on the inside. Looks like Carson needs to let off the trigger finger, let him get the car in. We got Dalton coming off again and wide open. Carson slams him. This is how these cars get tore up, folks. Something completely came off of that car. Looks like Dalton has decided he wants to retire. He's sitting there in the seat. Too much demolition derby, I guess. Dalton not in the greatest of moods today. Just like real racing, guys do not like it when their cars get completely obliterated. A little bit of riff-raff talking back and forth. Dalton back in the game, though. He decided he's going to finish this race out with no front bumper. This happens, adds character, I suppose. Might even actually help him handle a little bit more. He's definitely going to be slower, as there's no front downforce now, no aerodynamics there. He's just a big old wind catch for sure. But looks like he's actually going to catch Carson here on the inside on purple. Probably give him a little bit of revenge love there. But he didn't. He made a nice clean pass, but he let off to try to get him again. Looks like he might be out for blood on Carson. He's timing it as he gives him the send, and then chuckles about it. That's the rough part about being on the outside of somebody, you know. And these kids here, they are sometimes vindictive, as they love to wreck each other. Not personally an attitude I'd like to take progressing out of the rookie class. You can get by with it a little bit in the rookie class, but as you step up, things cost a little bit more, and guys get a little bit more vested in being professional. That kind of stuff, it just reminds me of the movie Inception, whenever all of the people's subconscious like turn on the individual. It's very similar to that in our Pro Series. When people start wrecking one another, everybody in the whole track starts turning on that individual to make that not happen. Action Jackson in the lead, 310 laps, followed by Weston with 296, Carson 293, and Dalton 280. Very, very close race in here, folks. 4 laps separates, 4 sole laps separates top to bottom. Yet again, going to leave you here with the current standings and be right back with you. Well, Dalton brought his car in here a whole lot better than what I thought. I thought he blew the front of the car off, but it looks like he blew the rear off. So you see it there in the high banks corner of the track. I told him it's actually kind of beneficial for him as it lets a little bit more airflow through the back. It'll help him be a little bit quicker. And he definitely needs that down here on blacks. He wants to progress and get up a little bit higher. But he's kind of down in the dumps today. I don't know why. Of course, the body he's running is a little bit surpassed by these other guys here. But now that he's ripped the back end off, he's actually a little bit better than those guys body-wise. So we'll see if he can catch some of these guys. Looks like he's reeling in Jackson right now there on yellow. The biggest thing he needs to do is just keep the car on. Probably needs his car looked over. Maybe after the race, we'll take a look at it for him. Of course, 5:30, we'll be starting the L&P Thunder Series coming up here at Lanes Raceway. That's our big main event here at Lanes Raceway every weekend on Sunday. 5-minute heats, very much an endurance race. What I'm fixing to do as soon as this race is over with, of course, the wife's going to get some pictures made of our top 3 racers, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to glue the orange track, and hopefully the guys can get that ran in a couple minutes. And I think it was a good, even though we kind of like laughed about it and everything, but I believe the way that we did the 3-dot gluing, even though it took a lot of glue, I believe it really did well Thursday. Now I know they were slow out of the gate. That's because they didn't have it ran in. But once that stuff got ran in, like these guys were pushing high times, they were pushing the most laps turned and stuff like that. And I think it's beneficial. I'm going to go over it with some of the racers and see if that's what they want to do. If they do, definitely, I think I'll fire that down before they start racing and get that going on. 20 seconds left to go in this heat. Action Jackson, 356. 46 laps, running good. The only person to touch him right now is Dalton. Dalton's hanging in there, folks. He's planning on making up those 6 or so laps and passing Weston. I just had a talk with him, too. I left him off the Little Rumble. Of course, I said I grabbed one of these older pictures here to refix it. So I got to get him back up on the Little Rumble. I don't know how I skipped over a full person, but nonetheless, bear with me and forgive me. I make a lot of mistakes here. We just got to work our way through it. I want the best experience for our racers, but sometimes it does get overwhelming. That's not an excuse. I plan on being better. Jackson here in the lead, 364 laps, followed by Carson, 345. Weston, 344. Carson and Weston right there with each other, but don't count Dalton out, as he just turned a screamer on black, 55 laps, 335 laps, just a few laps down. We got one more heat left to go, and he's definitely got a chance to exchange there with Weston and Carson. So second place is up for grabs here, folks. Stay tuned for our final heat. I'm going to leave you with the current standings. And remember, I left Dalton off a Little Rumble, but I think this will be his 3rd or 4th race on the Little Rumble. We'll get him straightened up at the end of the night or tomorrow. So be right back with you guys. All right, 2 seconds left to go. We're going to be going green racing. Okay, yeah. 1 second, folks. Folks, I'll be right back with you. Probably going to miss this last little bit, but I'll be right back with you. Well, I lost signal there, but I believe we're fixing to have ourselves a drawing here. So Jackson's going to take that with 415 total laps. Carson with 390. Dalton with 389. He come back, did he not? He almost took home second place here, and 388 Weston. So wow, what a comeback there. Wife's going to take a picture here of the current laps. We're going to go out there and have a little bit of a talk with a few of them as they get their picture made in front of the podium, and be right back with you. All right, Christian Jackson, another victory for you here on the Little Rumble series. Interesting, just got on with a fellow racer, you might know him by Monty. All racers here today, you guys didn't know about this, but we're going to get a number from you guys, and I'm back in touch with Monty here shortly. But we'll probably do like 1 through 100 drawing to give one of you guys a car today. So other than that, I wanted to express that, as that's probably pretty exciting. 415 laps. How are you feeling about maybe going into the upcoming rookie race tonight with those kind of laps turned? Do you think that's going to be competitive coming up with Jay Latham?
Oh, yeah, as long as I don't wreck as much as I did and stay more focused than I did this race, I think I can, get up there.
So what are your plans tonight to the race tonight?
Well, I'm going to try to stay focused, keep it cool, and see what he can do. And then when he makes his mistake, I'll take it. It's an advantage.
I love to hear it. Well, good racing. And what a comeback for Dalton. Dalton was all the way at the bottom there. It was about 12 laps down. Almost took second place from getting second. What do you think about Dalton here at Lanes Raceway?
He definitely has some potential. When I leave this league, I'm excited what these kids can do.
All right, cool. Love to see it. Guys, gals here at Lanes Raceway, we're going to be stay tuned with us. We're going to end up closing down the stream here for the Little Rumble. But definitely stay tuned with us as L&P Thunder is coming up next here at Lanes Raceway. That'll be around 5:30. And hopefully by then you'll know who ended up winning the car that Amani wanted to give away to these kids. Of course, they're very eager for that, and we do appreciate Amani helping these kids out, move and progress up into the ranks. So special thanks to Amani for sure. Just got off the phone with him. It's going to be kind of tough. As I've been trying to call him back to get a little bit more details before we push forward with this. But I know he wants to give the kids a car. Now, how he wants to do it is still kind of up in the air. I kind of mentioned that, and then we kind of lost signal. He ended up getting caught up in traffic again today. Seems like somewhat of an issue going on with some of the roadways up there that it takes him to come. Of course, he comes from a pretty good stint away from where he lives to come race here. But we do appreciate him coming in and hanging out, and these guys are really going to enjoy that car however we get that figured out. But those people that are in the runnings for that car is going to be Jackson, Carson, Dalton, and Weston. We'll figure that out later. So stay tuned. 5:30 coming up, maybe a little bit after. Depends on if the stream and everything's working well. Right now, everything looks like it's doing pretty good. 4% on the processor and running about 14% on a GPU. So we're still dropping frames, but that has something to do with how all this stuff's communicating on the software. I'm going to have to rebuild it, folks. It's as simple as that. We'll just have to rebuild it from scratch. No big deal. Everything's coming in all pixelated and everything. Not to mention we just got a new GPU update. This is Donovan Kirtley here at Lanes Raceway. God bless you, and I'll see you come back here 5:30 at the L&P Thunder Series.